Here we are with Glenn Wool, the self-described Iron Cowboy of comedy.
That's right, man, with the iron crutch of comedy.
How you doing? You holding up okay?
No. I get drunk and fall downstairs in your wonderful country.
Your stairwells are perfect, and don't fucking change them at all, because that's an optimum angle for people drinking whiskey to try and get up and fucking like that. Oh, I didn't do that.
I'm so thrilled to be able to have you on a bench like this.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really nice weather for our tour.
It's a dream come true for me, too.
It's been a week so far of some of the nicest weather we've ever had doing these tours, and you've been trapped inside.
Yeah. I feel like I'm haunting the apartment that they've gotten me. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of it, it turns out I died falling down those stairs.
The good news is I'm not a dancer, because it'd be a pretty short show.
So, you're the Iron Cowboy of comedy.
Yeah,
You travel, how long have you been on the road now?
Well, this tour has lasted 5 years. I've been a comedian for 20, but yeah I've been homeless, itinerant for 5 years now.
I am the Iron Cowboy of comedy. Planes are my horses, and I ride inside them. And I've flown for 8 hours beside a screaming kid that I didn't even know. And that's when I had my idea. And tell me if you think this would work. If I signed myself up to the sex offenders registry, would I then legally not be allowed to sit beside a child on an airplane?
Since you've traveled, I mean, so extensively, you just came back from Australia, from Asia, Norway. Is it an issue that you need to tailor your material to the different cultures, the different audiences?
I don't try to tailor a show so much, but I have questions that I'll ask audiences that lead into material. And it's always funny to see how many, I've got a joke about Saigon changing its name to Ho Chi Minh City. And you can really tell a lot about a crowd as soon as you ask, you bring up Saigon, and as soon as you ask, what's it called now? Sometimes a whole crowd will go, Ho Chi Minh City! And then sometimes it is quiet. Not only did they not know that they had changed their name, I don't think they'd heard of Saigon.
And then he explained to me what happened. They just changed the name of their fucking city. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't tweet that shit, a Facebook update, something to let the good people of the world know. No, not all of us fucking know. And I looked at him straight in the eye. I said, that's so immature. You just change the name of your city. Why don't you grow up? I looked him straight in the eye. I said, can't you just let Saigons be Saigons?
You've been to the Netherlands I don't know how many times.
I've been coming here for 15 years.
Yeah. So, what brought you in the first place, and what keeps you coming back?
Well, I came as a backpacker, and then work brings me back. But I also vacation in Amsterdam every time I get a chance.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people say that.
No. Well, I got it really cheap on the internet because they don't show you pictures of the Death Star across the river from it.
Right.
But
because that's the home of the steelworks, is right across the Amsterdam. Yeah. Okay.
The last time we did the tour, we were in Almere, and the crowd was being what could only be described as cunty. And I said, look, Almere, you got a half a show to make this up. I want to see an effort out of you to try and understand some of these jokes. Because if you don't, I'm going to make you the shit town in the middle of that Saigon joke. What do you think happened, Dana? They did not try hard enough. They didn't uncross their arms. They didn't uncross their eyes. Now, every night across Holland, another 75 people get to hear how shit of a town Almira is.
I've been trying to peg your, I don't know, style, even some of your like inspirations. I've never even talked about. Who did you grow up listening to? Who are your inspirations comedically?
I get asked that a lot. I mean, of course, there's George Carlin, Richard Pryor, and Eddie Murphy. Everybody always excludes Eddie Murphy now, but everybody was listening to. But even as a young child, I remember clearly saying to my brother, going, "It's funny, but I have a feeling in the future they're going to look at what he's saying about gay people the same way as they look at racist humor now."
Right. Yeah. But wait a minute now, because we can get on the right side of history with Eddie Murphy and homophobic jokes, but you also have a big part of your show about stop with the political correctness, and what is the line of your show? I think maybe it's a crazy idea, but maybe everyone should be allowed to say whatever they want. And it's interesting how that gets a different reaction from place to place.
Yeah, especially arts theaters, because people don't put it that way anymore. But, and I can understand why they don't want certain comedians to do certain kinds of jokes, because they're just terrible jokes. And this is one thing I've said before in media. Freedom of speech is for good jokes.
It's hypocritical and it's silly. Because it wouldn't work the other way around. Like, if I saw, a Mongolian comedian making fun of the Western world, I don't think I'd get upset. As long as he didn't do it in English, I'd be fine with it. Look, however he wants to jibber jabber to his horde is okay, but when you speak the Queen's English, a modicum of decorum is expected and will be granted, you fucking throat yodeler!
Because everybody's talked about what's appropriate to talk about on stage. But the old system, and the only system that works, is you say it, and then whoever's bothered has a right to rebuke it, which is exactly the way it's always been. And it even goes down more to, unless it's funny, a paid comedian cannot continually tell a joke that's not working on stage. If you were a real comedian, you wouldn't ever think that you had to pick what other comics were going to talk about. You just let the market dictate it.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm being facetious to prove a point. Mongolian comedians can say anything they like about the Western world in any language that they like, especially if they wanted to take particular umbrage as to what the word Mongoloid means in our language. Like, if you were Mongolian, wouldn't you be a little more than pissed off at that? Like, the first time an English dictionary got to Mongolia, they were probably really excited, and the one guy who could read English, they're like, look us up! Okay, wait. This way? It's good. This is like Genghis Khan and Semaphore, and we ran the world at one point. That's a really good review. Yeah? What's it say under it? Hold on. Oh, for fuck's sakes!
One of the closest descriptions of the Glenn Wool style is overly theatrical. But how did you develop that unique style?
Well, I started playing bigger rooms, which that should start happening at some point in your career, where you start to expand.
But you will deliberately hold the mic away and just rant.
Yeah. Well, it keeps if you use different levels of sound, it keeps people engaged in what you're saying, and if you believe in what you're saying, people will follow along. It's like if you just sort of mumble it into a microphone, and I mean, some people have that style, but you got to be way funnier than I am to do that.
And what do I give a shit about what Allah thinks about me? Because Allah never gave a fuck about me. No, he didn't. He abandoned me as an infant. When I was least able to defend myself, he made goddamn sure I would never step foot into the pearly and exalted halls of Muslim heaven. You know why? Because he made me be born in Canada. Do you have any idea how good the beer and the bacon is?
So, what made you go on stage in the first place?
When I was 12, I decided I was going to be a comedian. My parents took me to a Bill Cosby concert.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Bill Cosby.
Yeah, well, so did we, and nobody's really sure why, but he goes to Saskatchewan a lot. And
Okay.
That's where we lived, and before that, I'd wanted to be a priest or a professional wrestler, and comedy's
That
really...
explains a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a combination of the two.
But from 12 years old, watching Bill Cosby, you're listening to comedy albums, but how did you really get started?
Well, you just write down little ideas. I also made a conscious effort not to use catchphrases or impressions and things like that, just because I thought, yeah, you can do it that way, but it's better if you get a form of thought from your own mind, and I always had that in the back of my mind.
And where were you starting out?
I started out in Vancouver
Yeah.
at Yuck Yucks.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I was quite good. It went really well right off. Like, I was touring within 3 months.
Right. And you were saying that's probably the way it should be done. You got guys now who are going to, like, I'm getting my master's.
Yeah, I've got my master's in stand-up comedy. No, you don't. You got a piece of paper, son.
It's a fucking strange news time. The Pakistani baby has been let off from his murder charge. Which I don't think is a very good idea, because it's now opened the door for tiny men to put on diapers and go on crime sprees.
So what next for Glenn Wool? I mean, this Edinburgh Festival, you're building up to not a new show.
No, best of. But it's got its own... I thought it'd be way easier than it is. I always try to do the easiest thing, the least amount of effort, and it always turns out into more. Because now... this is the only time I've ever, I've got a bunch of new material coming through. I was like, I could really do it. I could do a new show right now. I was like, no, you gotta go back and do the old stuff you don't care about again. So I'll have to make it like a retrospective, you know.
Glenn Wool, thank you for a wonderful week.
Thank you.
I'll do your tour next.
It was, it was actually 10 days, so I don't know what the 3 days he's excluded from the week. Thank you for a good 7 days, and we won't talk about the other 3.
I was just in Abu Dhabi in the Middle East doing gigs, and they have the world's biggest mosque there. And when they say the world's biggest mosque, they are not kidding. It is fucking gigantic. And I just wasn't ready to see the world's biggest mosque. And the lady in the car went, Glenn, look to your left. It's the world's biggest mosque. And I went, Jesus Christ! Now, here's the question. Is it blasphemy if you say the wrong guy?